Hello everyone. Today we will begin with a new chapter from English, that is the three questions. This chapter is a para-epic as it has a moral lesson at the end. This chapter is written by a very well-known Russian writer, that is Leo Tolstoy. The chapter concerns a king who has three questions in his mind, which is very important for every person to know for his life. Once a certain king had an idea. If he always knew the right time to begin everything, if he knew who were the right people to listen and to whom to avoid the most important thing to do, he would never fail in anything that he would undertake, and above all, if he always knew what was the most undertake. Since he was convinced that he was right in thinking this way, he had a proclamation made in his kingdom. He would give a great reward to anyone who would teach him what the right time was for every action, who the most necessary people were, and how he might know the most important thing to do. So once a king had three questions in his mind. That what if he knew what was the right time to do anything, who were the right people to talk to, and what was the most important thing to do. He would never fail at anything. So he made a proclamation in his kingdom. Proclamation means an announcement. So he made an announcement in his kingdom that whoever gives all the answers to his questions, he would give them a reward. Many learned people came to the court, but they all gave different answers. In reply to the first question, some said that to know the right time for every action, one must draw up in advance a table of days, months and years and must live strictly according to it. So many learned people came to his kingdom and gave their advices. One of them said that to know what was the right time to do anything, one must have a timetable and follow according to it. Other declared that it was impossible to decide beforehand the right time for every action, but that not letting oneself be absorbed in idle pastimes and then do what was the most important to all that was going on. So another said that we should do everything that comes our way, that is going on in present, and concentrate on one that is most important. Yet others said that it was impossible for a man to decide correctly the right time for every action, and that the king should instead have a council of wise people who would help him to fix the proper time for everything. The another said that this is very impossible to know the correct time to do everything. One said that it was impossible to know the right time to do everything. So the king should call a council of wise people who would advise him what was the right time to do anything. Equally varied were the answers to the second question. Some said the people the king most needed were his counselors, others the priests, others the doctors, while some said the warriors were the most necessary. In answer to the second question, one said that it was the counselors that were important to the king, while others said it was the priests who were important, and others said it was the doctors and the warriors who were most necessary. To the third question about what was the most important occupation, some replied that the most important thing in the world was science. And others said it was skill in warfare, and others again it was religious worship. The king was convinced by none of these answers and gave the reward to none. In reply to the third question, that is what was the most important thing to do, some said it was science that was the most important thing. Some said the skill in the warfare, and some said that the religious worship is important thing to do. But the king was convinced by none of these answers, so he gave the reward to none of them. He decided instead to go to a hermit who was widely renowned for his wisdom. The hermit lived in a small hut in a forest which he never left. He spoke only to common folk. So the king put on simple clothes and approaching the hermit's cell, dismounted his horse and left his bodyguards behind. Now the king decided to go to a hermit. A hermit is a saint. He decided to go to a hermit who was very widely renowned for his wisdom. He was a very common person and he only talked to the commoners he was surrounded by. So the king decided to go there. He went without any bodyguards. He left his horse behind and he went in a common attire. When the king arrived, the hermit was digging the ground in front of his hut. He greeted the king but went on digging. The hermit was frail and weak, and each time he struck the ground with the spade and turned over a little earth, he breathed heavily. The king went up to him and said, I have come to you, wise hermit, to ask you to answer 3 questions. How can I learn to do the right thing at the right time? Who are the most important people? And whom should I, therefore, pay attention? And what affairs are the most important and need my first attention? So the king went to the hermit. The hermit was very frail and weak as he was digging the ground. The king greeted the hermit, but paying no attention to the king's wordings, the hermit continued to dig the ground. The king asked his 3 questions to the hermit and asked him to answer those 3 questions. The hermit listened to the king but said nothing. He just spat on his hand and resumed digging. The king watched in silence for a while. Then, feeling sorry for the hermit, he said, You are tired. Let me take the spade and work a while for you. The hermit silently handed over the spade and sat down on the ground. When he had dug 2 beds, the king stopped and repeated his questions. The hermit again gave no answer, but rose, stretched out his hands for the spade, and said, Now rest a while and let me work a bit. But the king did not give him the spade and continued to dig. The hermit heard all the 3 questions of the king, but he paid no attention to the king's questions and continued to dig. Later on, he was very tired, so the king asked him to give the spade and he would do the digging work for the hermit. So the hermit, he silently handed over his spade to the king so that he could dig the ground. When the king dug 2 beds, he again repeated his 3 questions. But again the hermit paid no attention to his 3 questions and got up, stretched his arms and again asked him to give the spade so that he could continue his digging. 1 hour passed and another. The sun began to sink behind the trees and the king at last stuck into the spade into the ground and said, I came to you, wise one, for an answer to my questions. If you can give me none, please say so, and I will go home. Here comes someone running, said the hermit. Let us see who it is. It was 2 hours past and it was evening. Again the king asked, Can you please answer my all 3 questions? And if you cannot, tell me so that I can go home. In that course of time, there came someone running. So the hermit said, Let us see who it is who is coming towards us. The king turned around and saw a bearded man come running out of the forest. The man held his hands pressed against his stomach and the blood was flowing from under them. When he reached the king, he fainted and fell to the ground, moaning feebly. The king and the hermit unfastened the man's clothing. There was a large wound in his stomach. The king washed it as well as he could and bandaged it with a handkerchief and towel the hermit had. But the blood would not stop flowing, and the king again and again removed the bandage soaked with warm blood and rebandaged the wound. When at last the blood stopped flowing, the man revived and asked for something to drink. The king bought some fresh water and gave to him. So there was a man coming running towards the king and held his hand pressed at his stomach as he was bleeding very badly. He came towards the king and the hermit. Seeing the man bleeding, the king and the hermit unfastened his clothing and saw there was a big attack on his stomach. So they unfastened his clothes and started bandaging him. The moment they used to bandage, the cloth used to get soaked with warm blood. They had to rebandage it. They rebandaged it with the handkerchief that the hermit had with himself. When at last the blood stopped bleeding, the man got up and asked for some water to the king. Meanwhile, the sun had set and it had been cool. So the king, with the hermit's help, carried the wounded man into the hut. The man lay there quietly with his eyes closed. By now, the king was so tired after his walk and the work he had done that he lay down himself and also fell asleep. When he awoke in the morning, it took his some time to remember where he was and who was the strange bearded man lying by his side and gazing intentionally at him. "Forgive me," said the bearded man in a weak voice, when he saw that the king was awake and was looking at him. "I don't know you, and I have nothing to forgive you for," said the king. So meanwhile the sun set, the king fell asleep and he slept beside the bearded man. As soon as he got up in the morning, he thought where he was and who was the man lying beside him. The bearded man was constantly looking at the king intentionally and asking him to forgive him. The king had a question in his mind. "Why are you asking me to forgive you? You didn't do anything to me. Then why are you asking me to forgive you? You do not know me, but I know you. I am that enemy of yours who swore to revenge himself on you because you executed his brother and seized his property. I know you had gone alone to see the hermit, and I resolved to kill you on your way back. But the day passed and you did not return. So I came out of my ambush to find you. Your bodyguards recognized me and wounded me. I escaped from them but would have bled to death had you not dressed my wound. I wished to kill you, but you have saved my life. Now if I live, and if you wish it, I'll serve you my whole life." In response to the king's questions, the bearded man said that, "You don't know me, but I know you. I was the enemy who swore to kill you because you seized my property and you attacked my brother. On the way, I decided to kill you on your way back to home, but as the day passed, you did not arrive. So I decided to go and find you. But in the meantime, your bodyguards recognized me and wounded me. But I escaped from them and have bled to death if you did not bandage me. I wish to kill you, but you wish to save my life. Now that I am alive, I wish to serve you all my life," said the bearded man. The king was very glad to have made peace with an enemy so easily and to have gained him for a friend. He not only forgave him but said he would send his men and his own physician to attend him. The king then took leave of him and went out of the hut to look for the hermit. Before going away, he wished once more to beg for an answer to the questions he had. The hermit was outside on his knees, sowing seeds in the beds that had been dug the day before. The king was very glad to know that he had made a very good friendship with an enemy who would kill him. Now he said that I should now take a leave from the hermit's cells as he is not answering my questions. Once again, before leaving the hermit's cell, he asked all the questions to the hermit again, but he was busy sowing seeds. The king approached him and said, "For the last time, I pray you to answer my questions, wise man." "You have already been answered," said the hermit, still crouching on his thin legs and looking up at the king who stood before him. "What do you mean?" asked the king. "Do you not see?" replied the hermit. "If you had not pitied my weakness yesterday and said to dig these beds for me, you would have gone back and been killed by that man. So the most important time was when you were digging the beds." The king again approached to the hermit and asked him to reply to the questions. The hermit answered him by saying that you have got all the answers to your questions. The king was surprised because he did not answer all the 3 questions. The hermit replied that you came to know what was the most important thing to do and what was the most important time. If you did not pity my weakness and start to dug the bed, you would have gone back to your home and would have been killed by the bearded man. But you decided to dig the beds. Important time was the present time when he was digging the beds, and the most important person was the hermit whom he was helping digging the ground. Afterwards, the most important time was when you were attending to that man, for if you would not bound his bones, he would have died without having made peace with you. So he was the most important man, and what you did for him was the most important business. The hermit said, the most important time was when he was attending the wounded man The most important person was the wounded man, and the most important business was helping the wounded man. Remember then, there is only one time that is important. Now, it is the most important time because it is the only time when we have any power. The Hermit says that it is only the present time that is important because only at that time you have any power to decide what you want to do. The most necessary person is the one with whom you are, for you do not know whether you will ever have dealings with anyone else. The most necessary people were the people whom you are surrounded by because you never know in future you will meet them also or not. And the most important thing is to do this person good because for that purpose alone were you sent into this life. And the most important business was doing good for a person because only for this purpose you were sent into the person's life. So here we end up with our chapter. I hope you liked the video, and if you have any doubts related to the chapter, do comment down below in the comment section.